Welcome to Talk Theory. It's your host, Kiara Barnes, where I talk all things life, what makes us human, and what makes us superhuman. Sit back, relax, and join me for a chat. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Talk Theory. I'm Kiara Barnes, your host. Thanks for joining. Okay, real quick before we get into this episode, I want to take a second and address there have been some really weird uploading issues that have been going on. First off, there was there was a publishing mishap when it came to our episodes. I can't remember if I mentioned this already, but when it came to our episodes uploading on Apple Podcast, they hadn't been updated since December. Anyway, it's all good. It was an internal issue. So now if you're an Apple listener on those podcasts, all of those are up to date and on there and we're good to go. But then for some reason last week, episodes specifically on Spotify, like the one episode that came out last week got put kind of hidden. It got pushed back on a date. I don't know what happened. Anyway, it is sorted now. It's all updated, and all the episodes are on there. So, apologies about that. Don't know what was going on. I had a few folks reach out to me to let me know. So, I appreciate y'all checking in and letting me know. But I believe we should be good to go. And hopefully moving forward, we'll be good to go. Speaking of transparency, we're going to be venturing into the wonderful world of honesty. You know, let's just kick off things by talking about the importance of keeping it real. You know, I love some honesty. I value it very much. For me, I much rather even receive loving, honest feedback for something than to have someone beating around the bush when I know that I could grow better. And, you know, if I was getting real advice. But we've had a conversation on this, on the topic. It was a few episodes a few months ago, about constructive criticism versus someone just being rude. You know, there's a difference. One is done with love and care, and the intention is to help rather than to harm. So anyway, I definitely value that, because then, you know, you get the opportunity to grow and change in a good, positive way. Now, I understand in some cases it can be harder than in others, but I tell you, for me, I just much rather be told the truth than to hold something in or to tell the truth even, because it gives me so much anxiety more than anything else. I learned this pretty quickly in my teen years. Also, I'm, very expressive person. I cannot hide how I'm feeling. I was doing a game night the other night, a few weeks back, and the whole premise was to see if you could be a good liar or something. Everyone gets a certain card, and there's one person that's faking that they have that card, but everyone has to go around and have one word to describe whatever the thing that they're talking about. Okay, and let me tell you, when it was my time to lie, everyone was okay, well, you're obviously lying. I was dang, I can't even, yeah, obviously, if I'm no, I was going to say if I'm acting, but even when I'm acting, I'm playing a reality of that character. So it doesn't register as a lie to me, which is why I probably can play that normal. But yeah, I mean, God bless me with a lie. Just look, all I have to say is just don't tell me nothing I'm not meant to hear. You know what I'm saying? Not that I can't be trusted, but if someone were to ask me, is something, oh, good gosh. It's hard. Plus, it just feels like, I don't know. When you don't lie, it just feels like you don't have to hold on to anything heavy, and that's really nice. Specifically, honest communication is key to me to feel I have when I'm thinking about like a relationship with a partner. And I've definitely been in those relationships where I've been cheated on and have seen the text messages or something that I wasn't supposed to see, or someone sent me a message and it went down in flames, let me tell you. And that took me about maybe 2, 3 relationships before I want to say like two. Let me think. I'm like, I don't really totally, I don't know, count high school, but maybe like grown up relationships, maybe like 2 before I really put my foot down with that. And I think that comes with age and confidence with myself. I most certainly have boundaries and openly discuss them with my partners now. When it comes to dating, I think most people, when they get into a new relationship, it's part of becoming closer. You discuss your past and the things you've learned, and moving forward, what you will and will not accept while being in a relationship. And so if a partner has crossed any of those hard set boundaries, then I do decide to walk away. Respect and honesty are huge for me. And as soon as I feel those are, missing from the relationship, it's really just kind of like, if I'm being real, the beginning of the end for me. And I'm a communicator. I will always give the opportunity for a discussion to an extent. That is key. An extent. If a specific boundary has been so crossed that to me, there is no, redemption. It is what it is. What's that Oprah quote? When they show you who they are the first time, believe them. 100% agree. And truthfully, I just follow my gut on these kinds of things too. Because there will be times where I've got an inkling of something feeling off way earlier in advance, and I've decided to, I'll just ignore it. The feeling, because I've got comfortable in the relationship, or I like the idea of having someone's company. But my thing with that is, do you really have the kind of company you want when you're more stressed and second guessing the relationship more of the time? I think also a big part about honest communication is both parties needing to listen how the other is feeling and why they're feeling how they're feeling. I've definitely been guilty of fighting to be right. A lot, rather than actually discussing the root of the problem we're talking about. So now it becomes something that was never about what we were actually talking about. And each person now has their guards up in defense. I've learned this, and I'm still practicing it, even with, family. Sometimes I need to say a prayer, honestly, internally, to have some love in my heart so I can release whatever I'm feeling, so that I can even understand the situation with love, light, and peace. And trust me, it's hard to do sometimes, especially with the people you care for and love the most, because I think there's the sense that we never want to be the ones who are disappointing or making those people in our life sad. So we'll fight to prove that they have somehow misunderstood. When in reality, accepting we're humans, we're not going to be perfect all the time, and stuff happens. It's just how it is. But showing up and being vulnerable and being heard and listening and creating a space where it's safe to discuss your feelings is healthy and should be aspired to be moved toward. Obviously, depending on how you grow up and how you've been living your life, this will be a bit of an adjustment to get used to. So just take your time with it and forgive yourself and the ones around you, but also have respect for you and yourself, and let go when your heart is telling you to let go. I think it's more harmful to keep making excuses for someone when they need that time to grow and heal on their own. Vulnerability is a superpower. when I was younger, I used to always get made fun of for being too emotional, or a parent would tell me, don't cry. Why are you crying? Or I get called the infamous drama queen by my brothers, it's a whole thing. And it happens so often, and the tone would usually be of embarrassment or disapproval, that I would learn to shame my feelings and resent myself for having them. And it took me a long while into my adulthood to see my vulnerability and my ability to access my emotions as a gift. My ability to connect and understand with how I feel connects me with so many different people, because I can let my own guard down to be seen, because I can value that in someone else. And I feel all of the feelings. When I love big. When I get upset, it really feels like my heart is breaking. It can be very intense, but when I channel that energy, it can be extremely impactful. I think being able to release your body of intense emotions is so helpful. When we keep things stuffed down or internalize everything, it can manifest itself as sickness in the body, or we can end up having an adverse reaction where we pop our lid and it comes out overflowing, and it's hard to process all at once, which makes sense. Whereas when we take our emotions as they are, like waves coming in and out on the shoreline, we can keep that whole bursting of emotions moment from even happening. So I'm going to discuss the courage it takes to be vulnerable, the strength that comes from sharing our fears and insecurities, and just how that alone can have all these deep connections and blossom when we open up to others. I mean, to be honest, okay, like I've had plenty of moments, even when I'm younger, in my younger years in high school, before we even get into that. And early on, I wouldn't say like maybe college, just like, when you're in that 18 to 20 something space, I feel like, well, okay. How am I going to say this? I would lie. I would lie because I felt like it would be better than having to face the truth. Yes. But the real honesty of that is that at some point in time, you will have to face it if you like it or not. That's just how the world works. Nothing ever truly stays hidden. So it's better to be honest. I learned this when I was in high school. I think I was a junior. I was trying to be slick and stay over at this guy's house. And I tried to tell a lie to my mom. And out of all the people to lie to, yeah, my mom is not the one to start with, okay? This woman could have been in the FBI, the CSI, like she could do it all. CIA? CIA. She just knows things, okay? Anyhow, I told her the classic, oh, I'm sleeping over at another friend's house. But then the thing about my mom is she's proactive, man. If she feels like you're lying, she will go sort that out on her own. So anyway, she drove to, rookie mistake, but she drove to the place that I was supposedly sleeping over at. And let's just say I got a phone call that had me literally sprinting out of that boy's house, running to my car, driving as fast as I could to get home. It was a very scary call. And I was grounded for months after that, which was just so lovely. It's so amazing. So yeah, as time had gone on and my frontal lobe started developing, and wow, I realized it feels so much better to just tell the truth, because nothing feels worse than feeling that anxiety or stomach pain from lying. It just doesn't feel good. And I've had so many good times when it comes to being honest and forefront about my feelings, especially when it comes to my relationships. We can't read each other's minds. We can't read each other's minds, but we can pick up on energy. And I think that's always the tall tale of when someone's like, this doesn't feel right. I feel like you're lying, right? But we can't exactly know what's going on internally. And so being open about even just how you feel, when I was talking about earlier about like how being honest can really blossom relationships and help, being open about how you feel, or if there's been something that's been said or done that needs more clarification, then it's so much easier to handle it then and there. I find like as soon as I'm feeling something, I've definitely like gotten into a little, I don't want to say a fight, but maybe disagreement with someone I had like a relationship with, and then like hung up the phone, been like so annoyed, and then been like, no, this is so stupid because I didn't even have the conversation of like, hey, this is why I feel this way. Can you give me more clarification? Because from what you said, this is what I'm feeling, and it made me think this, right? When you lay it out that, it feels very simple. And sometimes they're not the easiest conversations because when you start getting vulnerable and truthful, there's always the possibility of something simply just not going your way or exactly how you planned it out to be. And that's something I think as humans, we all want to feel heard. That's what it really comes down to, I think. And the moment we go into that defensive mode, it's because we feel like we aren't being heard, or that at some point we don't, or at some point we won't even be heard. Like prepping yourself for that. And it's been something I've had to be pretty conscious about. And a lot of the times still, because I'm still working on it, I'm human, I will most certainly get defensive and afterwards be like, dang, that could have gone a different way, but I didn't even hear out the other person. Even then, I try to give myself more kindness and love in making the attention that, okay, next time on that, everyone has their reasoning to why it is they feel the way they do. And all I can do about that is allow, listen, speak my piece, but there's no point to convince or force. And it's still something I am heavily, heavily working on. As humans, we don't like to be made to feel, or in the sense of being forced to feel something or to think any kind of way or be forced to change. We really make change on our own accord and by some kind of emotional understanding or change internally. And the long-lasting changes come from an internal decision. Obviously, having this perspective, the connections you'll be able to have with people around you will be so much deeper and probably be able to take you to levels you didn't know were available, because when people feel safe with you, there's a level of vulnerability that comes with that trust that allows one person to open up. And if someone is vulnerable with me, I feel safe to be vulnerable with them and just be real. Like, okay, you know what? When you said this, it did get me upset. And this is the reason why, because XYZ, even if it's like explanation of my past, it's something that I'm working on, or da 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 da. Or I feel like when I talk, you don't really hear me. How can we, and then also hearing them out like, oh, well, I don't want you to feel that way. This and this is going on, and just having that dialogue. I know some folks could argue when it comes to the benefit of white lies, but those in themselves can be a slippery slope. There's levels, I feel like. If you're like, there's harmless. If you're throwing a little surprise party or something, sure, there may be some white lies happening in there, perhaps. Honestly, I've been able to do surprises without any lies at all being told, really. It's worked out fine. But things like where someone has lied about something small and it really just unravels, and now you have this built-in distrust because the lie was so small, it feels weird that you had to even lie about that, right? Like, and we're not talking about surprise birthday parties at this point, because I definitely had that situation. It's just like, why not just be honest? Because now you seem suspicious. Like, I dated someone like that, and it was honestly so odd because a lot of the time through the relationship, I was never too sure what he was being truthful about and what he was being dishonest about. And ultimately was another reason for the ending of that relationship, because he had even admitted to me that he white lies a lot. It's just something that he just has done since he was a kid, and he didn't think of it as it being harmful, but we had to have discussions where I'm like, even if you don't think it's harmful, to me, it just makes me second guess a lot of the relationship and what you're saying, because you're so comfortable lying with littlest things that it becomes a big thing. And I'm not even talking about like, oh, I asked him like, what'd you have for dinner? And he said pasta, but really he had chicken. No, not like that. It would be other little things that are kind of just weird to lie about, because, I don't know. So it definitely affected the relationship. So if you can, I just avoid it entirely, because it becomes a little lie, but white lie, but then it grows into something bigger. And that happened a lot of the time in that relationship too, where it started off small, and then or I would ask a question like, oh yeah, didn't you do that? And he would have even forgotten that he lied about it. And so he would have to create a bigger lie to cover up that white lie. And that's how it gets out of hand. When I was younger, I feel like I would hide myself a lot and become whatever it was that I felt other people would like, even in relationships. I would mold into the version of myself that would fit the other person best. And it just didn't feel good. It really didn't feel good to not be me. And once I broke out of that and realized that the only way to feel my best is when I'm unapologetically me. For me, that's a beautiful thing in itself, because I don't have to hide any part of me. I have many sides of me, and I want to be with a person that loves that and accepts me as I am. Because I have fully accepted me as I am now, and I love that. So I'm looking for a partner that is good to go with what we're working with here. I'm most certainly not perfect, and I'm forever growing, but I think someone who can recognize that and be okay with that is worth being with. I think if you have to completely change who you are as a person, that relationship just isn't for you. Same goes for friends. If you are doing more hiding than actually just living, that's not a way to live. If you understand me, if you're hiding yourself more than actually just being able to be you, you're not enjoying life anymore. And that's that on that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little chat about honesty. And yeah. Okay, let's get into the theory of the week, folks, so we can set up your week with some good vibes. Okay, here we go. Authenticity is your superpower, and honesty is the key to unlocking your true potential. Lovely. This was a good chat, folks. Thanks for listening to another episode. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe. I promise you, from now on, episodes will be coming out every Monday, as they usually do. If you're new, be sure to scroll down. There's like a ton. We probably have like 70 something plus episodes at this point. Every Monday, come back here. There's new episodes. Leave a review if you're really feeling cute and sweet. And I shall see you next week. Okay, love you. Bye.